at least by this judge, was denied. Here's the chairman of the committee investigating the insurrection.
It's a big deal. If you take your issue to court and lose, then you need to man up and deal with it and not be a spoiled brat.
Planning to turn over records to the committee by this Friday, Trump's lawyers immediately said they would appeal this decision. This massive legal blow coming as the January 6th committee issues 10 new subpoenas targeting former Trump administration officials, including senior advisor Stephen Miller and press secretary Kayleigh McEnany. But now all eyes are really on Attorney General Merrick Garland, because if the Justice Department does not enforce the subpoenas, why would other Trump allies comply?
All right, joining me now, CNN senior legal analyst Elie Honig. Elie, this federal judge gave a sweeping decision on Trump's claim of executive privilege.
Yeah, John, this is really a big deal. This is a monumental constitutional decision, and the judge gave a big win, at least for now, to the January 6th committee, a big setback to Donald Trump. The judge systematically took apart Donald Trump's arguments. First of all, executive privilege. The judge put it very bluntly. Presidents are not kings, and plaintiff is not president.
Let's just pause for a second. That's an incredible statement
Truth
in a
hurts.
ruling right there.
Yeah, the truth hurts. And the fact is, the judge said it is going to be generally up to the current president, not the past president, to exercise executive privilege. The judge also rejected Donald Trump's argument that the committee has no legitimate legislative purpose. The judge said, hey, they're Congress. They told us what their legislative purpose is. It's up to them. It's not up to me, a judge. It's not up to you, the former president. The judge also stressed the importance of the overall investigation that the committee is doing. Here's an important quote from the opinion. The judge said, defendants, meaning the committee and National Archives, contend that discovering and coming to terms with the causes underlying the January 6th attack is a matter of unsurpassed public importance because such information relates to our core democratic institutions and the public's confidence in them. The court agrees.
So, Elie, it's November 10th. I can't help but noticing. November 12th is the day that the National Archives is due to release these documents. What happens between today and the 12th?
Yeah. So, John, we have some important procedural things ahead. Here's where we are right now. This opinion came out of the district court. That's the trial level court. Now, Donald Trump has already made clear he's appealing to the Court of Appeals. He actually filed a notice of appeal last night, so there will be an appeal. But the timing is so important here because November 12th, 2 days from today, that's when the documents start going over. So the key term here is, are we going to see a stay? A stay basically means a pause. Will the Court of Appeals come in and say, hold on, don't turn those documents over because we need time to hear that appeal? We will know within the next 2 days whether there's a stay. Donald Trump's going to beg the Court of Appeals for a stay. And if they say no, count on him trying to go to the Supreme Court and saying, okay, Supreme Court, you need to put a pause on this so I can argue my appeal. That's the key thing to watch the next couple days.
I think people need to understand the reason a stay here is so important is because even if they decide they want to decide the legal concept down the line, if there's not a stay, the cat's out of the bag for Donald Trump.
It's a practicality. Starting Friday, if there's no stay, these documents are going to start going over to the January 6th committee. 770 plus pages of handwritten notes, internal memos, call logs, important internal documents from the White House. Friday, if there's no stay, the committee will have those documents in their hands. Cat's out of the bag. Essentially, there's not much the Court of Appeals can do to stop it at that point.
You have a hunch or a gut if you think there will be a stay before Friday?
This is really a coin toss. On the one hand, courts of appeals typically will issue stays because they want to have a say. They don't want to just get sort of timed out. On the other hand, the judge's ruling here was really straightforward, I think really well supported. If the Court of Appeals decides that ruling is really solid, we don't need to upset it, they may not issue a stay. I think it's a toss of the coin here.
And then the Supreme Court needs to decide the same thing. This has to get through two courts without a stay, which seems like a high bar, but we'll see over the next 2 days. All right, we're watching that very closely. We're also watching what else the committee is doing in the House, and they issued another flurry of subpoenas.
Yeah, over here on the second stage, we have another wave of subpoenas, a few interesting ones that I just want to highlight. Of course, Stephen Miller, one of the primary architects of the big lie of election fraud, Kayleigh McEnany, who spread that lie from the podium at the White House. Of course, these two are very loyal to Trump. I think it's unlikely they're going to testify. There are a couple lesser-known names that I think are worth highlighting. Keith Kellogg, who was a national security advisor to Mike Pence, actually reportedly asked Donald Trump as January 6th attack was happening to issue a tweet or a statement to call off his followers. Christopher Liddell also reportedly almost resigned as this was happening and had to be talked out of it. So there could be some interesting testimony coming out of some of the witnesses who might be willing to cooperate.
If they choose to testify, and the reason I say that, because I think the big question with all these people who have been subpoenaed now is, what will this guy decide about this guy? What will the Attorney General of the United States decide to do about whether to charge or prosecute Steve Bannon for contempt of Congress?
It's such an important decision, John. Merrick Garland has now had this case on his desk for 3 weeks. Now, some people have said, look, the wheels of justice grind slowly. I work at the Justice Department. I understand that. But this case doesn't seem to me to be all that complicated. They subpoenaed Steve Bannon. He said no. He's, to this date, never formally offered up any good reason. So there's a legitimate question of what is Merrick Garland waiting for? And here's why it's so important. Because the other Bannon wannabes, the other people who are going to defy the subpoena, have started to emerge. Jeffrey Clark went in last week, said, no, don't feel like answering your questions. Bernie Kerik has been very defiant. Stephen Miller last night said, I don't plan to comply. And if Merrick Garland does not charge Steve Bannon, all of these people are going to, and many more.
What about these?
Kayleigh McEnany?
Like seriously,
right, Miller and McEnany?
Would anyone subpoenaed by Congress who doesn't want to talk ever bother showing up?
That's exactly why the stakes are so high. If Garland does not put his foot down on Bannon, it's going to open the floodgates. It's going to become completely voluntary. People who are loyal to Donald Trump will never testify, will never get the full truth here.
Elie Honig, thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
The White House and top House Democrats